What up, gang of Lang? Carolina Jackpot Time coming at you on Wednesday morning. I think it's Wednesday. Let's get the pleasantries out of the way first. Happy New Year, everybody. Happy 2025. The calendar has turned once again. You know, it's funny. One of the commenters on my videos, and he's a good commenter. He's always, I don't think he's a fan of any team in particular, but he's always trolling me about how horrible South Carolina's program is. Comment on a video that I made in the summer of 2019, early this morning, about Tavian Feaster transferring from Clemson to South Carolina. Y'all remember that? Damn, it's been so long ago, I'd forgotten about that. But I went back and watched this video. It was July 2019. I had dye in my beard, so I had the Ryan Day look going on. My weight wasn't very different from what it is right now, because my weight is yo-yoed up and down over the years, I'll say, and unfortunately recently it's yo-yoed in the direction of donuts and pizza. But we're fixing to do something about that. And look, and I also agree with something I heard the other day. If you want to make a change with something in terms of your diet, the way you exercise, your finances, something in your personal life, your relationship with Christ, whatever. You don't have to wait until the new year to do it and make a resolution. If you want to change something, change it right then. But I don't know, it just gives you a jumping off point, I guess. But I looked at that video, I was like, man, I was so much younger then. It's been going on 6 years ago. I sounded different. Things were just different. That was back pre-COVID. Now the world was just different then. Anyway, get all that mess out of the way. Hope everybody's doing good today. I'm in this truck, out beating up the roads today. Got a long day ahead of me. It's a good day to go work, doing the kind of stuff that I do, doing the chips for a living. There's not as much traffic out, not as many people in the stores, and you're able to kind of get your work done. Now I've got to get a lot done because I put some off yesterday, so I could go home and watch the Citrus Bowl, and that's what we're going to talk about between the South Carolina Gamecocks and Illinois. South Carolina drops the Citrus Bowl 21-17. They lose to Illinois out of the Big Ten. Congratulations to Illinois and their fans, if there are indeed any of them on the internet that watch Carolina Jackpot or are watching this video. I mean, your team did what they had to do. They played well. They had a good game plan. They executed. And they beat our ass. Plain and simple. I'm not going to get on here. I'm not going to make a bunch of excuses. I'm not going to come at you and tell you that the bowl game didn't matter. Congratulations on winning a worthless bowl game. I'm not going to blow smoke up your ass, in other words. We lost. Plain and simple. We weren't good enough yesterday at all in any phase of the game. But there are some things that are concerning to Carolina Jackpot that I do want to talk about here. First of all, the situation that happened there at halftime. South Carolina safety Nick Emmanwory he wasn't on the field in the second half. I didn't really notice it. I did notice Peyton Williams out there playing for South Carolina, and he's a backup, and I'm like, wait a minute, what's he doing in here? But I really didn't give it any thought. These guys do get in there and get reps to spell the starters sometimes. So it turned out Peyton Williams was playing because Nick Emmanwory told Shane Beamer at halftime that he wasn't going back in and that he was not going to play the second half. This wasn't something that was discussed beforehand, and we know this. This all came out yesterday. It was a tweet from David Cloninger, I think he is, someone out of Columbia. I believe he works for the state newspaper, if I'm not mistaken. He's connected in with the program somehow, so he knows what he's talking about. And also, someone that I'm close to that's in the media knows that this is in fact what happened. There are fans that are on Twitter that are telling you that Emmanwori was hurt, that he limped off the field and went through the tunnel. That's not what happened. Shane Beamer kicked him off the damn sideline because he wasn't going to go back in for the second half. So good on him for doing that. Now I'm going to take it a step further. This is really piss poor. This is almost like, I don't know what I can relate this to. This is a knife in the back, man. This reminds me of, I don't know, this reminds me of when Hulk Hogan joined the NWO in 1996. It's like a gut punch, knife in the back, because this kid's been here for 3 years. This is not one of those, this is not like a Cam Ward situation with a one-year player who was here to get some kind of record in this game and then sit in the second half. This is someone who's been here for 3 years, who's worked hard, who's played his ass off, and then he just fucking decides he's gonna follow this shitty trend that's been set by these selfish motherfuckers the past few years, and decides to quit on the second half of this team in a tight ball game. Yeah, I know it wasn't going our way at that time. Would him being in there in the second half have made a difference? I don't know. It definitely couldn't have hurt. There was someone else on Twitter, Nick got some bad advice from somebody. Bullshit. I don't care what kind of advice he was getting. I get advice all day long on things. It doesn't mean that I take it if I think it's bad advice. What does this dude, 20, 21 years old? I mean, he's not fully mature yet as far as making decisions and that goes, but he's old enough to make the right decision. And he made the wrong decision yesterday. And in the post-game presser, you could tell that it wasn't planned. That was something that came up all of a sudden when they asked Beamer about it. He got to snap the reporter's head off, as he tends to do sometimes, that it was an internal team matter and he wasn't going to discuss it. But then he did double back down and say, look, I don't mean to be ugly and bite your head off, but it's I don't mean to be short with you, but it's just an internal deal. So he didn't want to talk about it because it was something that he hadn't even probably sorted out himself yet. But in short, Nick Emmanwory is declaring for the NFL draft, as long as also as TJ Sanders, defensive tackle, declaring for the NFL draft. I ain't mad about it. I ain't mad about that. That's great. You know, you're putting players in the league. South Carolina's putting players in the league. Go to the league. Go do it. I don't care that you're not coming back for your senior year. It doesn't bother me because you're going to pursue your dreams that you've had since you were a kid, man. I ain't mad about that. I ain't selfish like that. But you should have played out the rest of this. You played the 2024 season. You should have played the entire 2024 season. That's what makes me mad. That's what makes me mad and gets me agitated and upset there. Once again, do I think that we would have won the ball game if he had played? No, I don't. Because here's the thing. The better team won the ball game despite our fucking trickery, the bullshit trick plays South Carolina was trying to do, whatever, I don't know what that was, man. And there in the third quarter, the Kai Kroger attempted, or Alex Huntley either dropped it or Kai Kroger overthrew the touchdown. They would have called it. It would have been a touchdown pass. It would have been great if it worked. When you're doing shit like that, it means that you're getting your ass whipped, and you've got to try to find some kind of equalizer. Now, just talking about the game here, look, I mean, Illinois defensively, bent but they didn't break. Lenore Sellers, probably the worst that he's looked since Old Dominion. Here's the thing with Sellers. These layoffs, these long layoffs before we play a game, for some reason seem to affect him. He had a long layoff before the Old Dominion game last year. He looked great in 2023, the 3 games he played in, he looked great. Long layoff, we have the Old Dominion game, he looks real pedestrian. So now we see more than a month-long layoff since that Clemson game. Right out a month-long layoff. He looked kind of pedestrian yesterday. Wasn't able to run. He couldn't bounce it to the outside. He couldn't get much yardage up the middle. He did have a couple of decent runs. I think the play calling was, first half it was awful. Second half it got better. There was a little bit more creativity there. I definitely thought Mike Shula was calling plays for South Carolina ever since the Oklahoma game, because up until then, we just got to admit to ourselves, Dowell Loggins just wasn't cutting it. But now Dowell's gone, so we definitely know Mike Shula was calling plays yesterday, and I don't know. I give it a D+ grade, and that's being nice for his first game that we know he's calling the plays in. That's being nice. What Lenoris took one sack. We saw a lot more of the plays the second half of the season where South Carolina would just purposely not defend a couple of guys on the other team in terms of ones who could put pressure on Lenoris, and they would use Lenoris' escapability and ability to make plays just by escaping that pressure to our advantage. I didn't see any of those kind of plays yesterday, and I'm not the most brilliant X's and O's guys. Maybe the way Illinois plays defense and maybe their defensive packages don't allow for that, but I didn't see any of that yesterday. Defensively, I thought Carolina played like shit. Just point blank, I think they played like shit. Illinois did shoot themselves in the foot a couple times. Still got a couple of turnovers. The tackling was the biggest issue that I saw. Lots of missed tackles, and I hadn't seen as much of that. Not having Kyle Kennard there, I don't really know. It did hurt some. You weren't able to get any pressure at all on Luke Altmaier other than their first drive of the game, where they were throwing this kid around like a rag doll. It reminded me of Jadeveon Clowney out there with Aaron Murray getting sexual with him like 10, 12 years ago, whatever that was. Sacked him like 5 times, the way throwing Taj Boyd around. But outside of that, I didn't see any pressure on Altmaier to force him into any real mistakes there. He got a couple of good passes off some RPOs, picked up some big yardage. The absolutely most disappointing play of the game to me was there late in the game when there was 2 minutes left, and it was when South Carolina went for it on 4th down from when it was 4th and 5 from the 7. And Josh Simon dropped the touchdown pass when it was 21-17, and I had complained that they just needed to kick that field goal, take the points, and then hope you can get a stop here. But don't hope you can get a stop. Get a damn stop. Make Illinois punt the ball back to you. You're going to have decent field position. Try to set it up for a game-winning field goal. And look, I'll get on that field goal situation in a minute, but they didn't do that, and it cost them. They gambled. Sometimes these gambles don't pay off, do they? These gambles don't pay off very well. That gamble didn't pay off to me. That was dumb there, and I might get criticized for being a little bit too conservative if I was a coach, but to me, I think that's where you stood the best shot of winning. Anyway, to get to what my point was, that subsequent drive there, they had Illinois at 3rd and 2. They came out of a timeout. Had you stopped them there, even if it was 4th and 1, they were going to have to punt the football. And you let them hand it off underneath and break off like a 50-yard run. That was the story of the day wrapped up into one play. Garbage. No, just very, very poor coaching. Very poor coaching on our part there. So, no more excuses from that end. We got beat. You did leave points on the board. I don't know what his status is for next year, but I really you cannot let Alex Herrera be your place kicker next year. You can't. He cannot kick field goals for you last year. If y'all noticed the 29-yarder that he made yesterday, he just barely snuck it in the right upright. Then another one, he dunked the other one when I lost it during the live stream and started screaming at fans in the stands of theirs who were laughing. They were laughing because the ball hit the upright and he hit it so loud that it made like this big dong noise throughout the stadium that you could actually hear. They were laughing at him missing the field goal, but I took it as them laughing at him missing the field goal, and I lost it. But that's how I am. But he cannot be kicking field goals for us this year. He has cost us. He cost you the LSU game. It was a team loss in that you all blew that game at the end. But he put him in a position where it was like a 45-yard field goal against them. Most of your college kickers are making those kicks now. I mean, that a 45-yarder is not a long-distance kick anymore like it was 25, 30 years ago. So, that said, he cannot be our place kicker next year. So I don't know if we're going to get a competition going on. We've got the kid they recruited out of Missouri that's really good, but he's a punter by trade, but he also can kick the ball. So I really don't want to see this dude as our kicker next year. South Carolina's had a long history of having some really, really good place kickers, and he definitely does not measure up. So they can't have him doing that anymore, that job. Thank you for your service. We appreciate what you've done here, but it's time to move on, bud. It's time to move on. The situation with the coaches. I'm going to touch on that for a minute here. With Shane Beamer and the whole blowing up at Brett Bielema thing. I didn't know what the fuck was going on when we watched it on live stream, and I don't think anybody did. It was the craziest thing. Shane Beamer was already frustrated. Illinois was kind of doing some of the Lane Kiffin bullshit, flopping with some injuries, stalling with substitutions and that stuff. Apparently they had 12 people that they broke the huddle with, and the referees didn't call it. Was where Beamer kind of lost it in the first half there, because they asked him coming off the field why he was so. They asked him why was he perturbed. That was funny. Y'all know that was my word there, perturbed. I'm just a bit perturbed. That's a sound bite from way back. Uncle Lou's played that one many a times. I'm just a bit perturbed. I was in the car when I said it, but he was mad, and apparently that's what the deal was. And then Carolina, they executed a play when Illinois kicked off to us. Carolina executed a play where they've done this before, where Juju will pitch the ball back on a kickoff to Nick Harbor and try to get Nick out into space and utilize his speed. And it's worked a couple of times that they've done it. And I like this idea. I like this concept. Nick Harbor needs to be returning kicks because he's the fastest player on the field. The thing is, I don't think he's one that's going to be able to catch a ball that's being kicked off from 80 yards down the damn field that's coming at him at 1,000,000 miles an hour. I think he's got problems with that. But Juju can field it and pitch it back to him. Well, they did one play where Juju kind of feigned not a fair catch, but he wasn't going to run out of the end zone. It was going to be a touchback. And he did a throwback across the end zone over here to Harbor out in space. He picked up about 30 yards on it. That play didn't get as many yards, I don't think, as it was designed to. He was too close to the sideline for one. But 1994 South Carolina Clemson game, 1994. South Carolina started the second half off with the same type of play. If you ever get down in a YouTube rabbit hole, remember that. Go look at it. 1994, South Carolina versus Clemson. This was back when Brad Scott was the coach at South Carolina. They did a throwback on the second half kickoff return. Brandon Bennett, the Gamecocks running back from not far from where I live at. He was from Taylor, South Carolina, Riverside High School. Took the second half kickoff, steps up with it, throws across the field to Reggie Richardson, who was, I think, either a defensive back or a wide receiver from Florence, South Carolina. And he takes off, and he ran about 95, 96 yards and got knocked out of bounds. He actually tripped over his own player, which was one of our wide receivers, Daryl Nicklow. I never will forget that play. Probably knocked out Daryl Nicklow as hard as he hit him. But then they scored on the next play. And South Carolina was ahead 14-7, I think, at that time. And we went up 21-7, and that was all the momentum we needed. We cruised the rest of that game, and we crushed those idiots. So that was what this was designed to do, but it didn't go for that much yardage. Brett Bielema gets pissed off because I guess Juju did this. Like, he put his arms out and made a signal that he wasn't going to return the ball. And then he feigns that. So apparently Beamer had cleared this play with the officials before the game. A lot of things people don't realize, these coaches do have to go up to these officials and they have to let them know that they're going to run these trick plays before they run them. Which to me is, I don't know, that's dangerous shit to me if you've got a damn dirty official. But they're upheld to a high standard. They said it was okay to do it, so they did it. And then later on, they had an injured player out there for a time, and Bielema's fat ass, he steps out on the field. He mocks Beamer with this motion, I guess, kind of walking towards him across the field. I don't really know what happened with that, but Shane got fucking pissed. He was already mad about the substitutions, about the flopping, some of the play calls, or some of the shitty officiating that he'd already seen, which this game yesterday was officiated pretty shitty. I've seen a lot of Gamecock fans crying about it online. This was nothing like the LSU game, so let's just get that out of the way right now. And let's also get out of the way, I'm not blaming these officials in one way, shape, or form for South Carolina losing this game at all. South Carolina got beat. South Carolina lost because they got beat up on the lines of scrimmage and because they couldn't stop Illinois' run game. And they couldn't establish one of their own. South Carolina got beat by the officials. They were not good officials, but that really had nothing to do with the outcome of this ball game. And Shane Beamer, this guy was like he was going to freaking go after fat-ass Brett Bielema's jugular, man. I mean, it was nuts. And his assistants were kind of pushing him, holding him back, and he was ready to damn scrap, man. And they're like, well, I think Bielema kicked your ass. Okay, well, you got to look at one thing here. Shane Beamer's actually in shape. What is Shane Beamer like? I don't know how much he weighs. Probably a little more than you think. He probably close to 200. But he could probably scrap. He was pissed. Thing is, with Bielema too, some of these big fat fucks, they have some decent cardio about themselves. It's not like just because he's a big whale, that doesn't mean he can't hold his own in a fight if it came to that. So, it just crazy stuff. He blew up. He got to stop doing this. What you saw there was a veteran coach in Bielema. He absolutely knew, and he's smarter than the average bear, because he knew that he could get under Shane Beamer's skin. He knew that it wouldn't take a lot of button pushing to make Shane Beamer go over the edge. He knew what he was doing. He knew he was going to piss him off, get him out of kilter, and that was going to affect the way the team played. And he played that off to a T. He won. He won right there. He absolutely played you like a fiddle. Shane Beamer got to stop doing that. And he's like me, man. He's like me when somebody is disrespectful to you and pisses you off like that. He's ready to scrap. He's ready to cuss somebody out. He's ready to go over here and smack somebody in the face. He gets passionate. I get aggravated like that too. And I have to pull myself back sometimes too. It's not like this happens in everyday life with me either. Let's get that out of the way. During ball games and stuff, yes, I get a little bit nuts. But I mean, it's not like when I'm out working in the middle of the day somewhere, I just all of a sudden just go into a Tasmanian devil-like frenzy. But I get passionate and aggravated about things too. But with him, man, you're making like $6-7 million a year. You have got to control yourself. God, you got to control yourself. Just imagine if you had played that cool, then just handled it later behind closed doors. I mean, it could have affected the outcome of that ball game. Once again, maybe not. Probably not the way they were playing, but people are always going to wonder. So, I mean, it's just a very strange situation indeed. But people say bowl games don't matter. You're going to say bowl games don't matter, but it mattered enough to Shane Beamer to get that damn crazy about it. It mattered to Brett Bielema enough to devise some kind of plan to get up under his skin and piss him off. So it mattered to those guys. It mattered to those two teams yesterday. And even Uncle Lou said something about this last night to his live stream, that it was refreshing that he actually watched a bowl game where it looked like both teams actually gave a shit. Both teams were trying to win the game. And I'm totally 100% on board with that. That's what I saw yesterday too. South Carolina just wasn't good enough. Just wasn't good enough. But here's the thing, guys. You played your probably either second or the Old Dominion game, the Ole Miss game, this game. And I'm trying to think what else comes to mind. Those 3 games were your worst games of the year. And you still almost won. Not making excuses there, but that's just telling you this team is really good. I want to get real quick here as I kind of get toward the end of this video that I knew this was going to be a long one when I went to make it this morning. I was loading my chip truck up to get ready to go out on the road at like 4, and I was just like hurrying up. So I was like, man, I want to make this video. I got to hurry up. To all the naysayers, to all the dipshits out there calling Shane Beamer a clown on Twitter. Shane Beamer's not a clown. A clown doesn't care. Clowns are disingenuous. Lane Kiffin is a clown. Shane Beamer's not a clown. Shane Beamer is someone who can't control his emotions. He's an almost 50-year-old dude who can't control his emotions. I'm a 50-year-old dude that can't control my emotions. I'll admit it's a character flaw of mine. That's what Shane Beamer is. Not a clown. He's as genuine as they come. He cares about his team as much or more than any coach in college football. I can tell you that from what I've seen from him this year. He cares about his team as much or more than any coach out there. So he's not a clown. Not in my book, anyway. So you can have your own opinion. Our opinions will differ on that. He's not a clown. Number 2, to these fan bases who I've seen on Twitter trying to take shots at South Carolina, to the Tennessee man. Tennessee man, you lost 42-17. You should have lost 42-10. You looked like garbage. Your effort was absolutely piss poor and pathetic. Don't talk shit to us. Don't talk shit to us. Don't talk shit about our coach. You're garbage. You're absolute garbage. Go back to the damn drawing board. I don't know where you people get off at all thinking that you got claimed some kind of moral victory yesterday watching South Carolina lose. You still just can't get let's just face facts. You still can't get over us whipping your ass a couple of years ago. Well, you know what, guys? I mean, you should have played better last night. Just like I said about us yesterday, we should have played better. And then maybe we wouldn't have lost. Well, maybe we all wouldn't have lost. Maybe y'all wouldn't have lost. You know, sorry about Coach Stallions and that too. He was just doing what he had to do, just trying to help his team out. To the Missouri man, I seen the Missouri man over there. Not many of them, but a couple of them. One of them actually took a pot shot at Beamer on Twitter, that he was the most cringe coach in the SEC. Bro, have y'all watched or looked at who your coach is lately? I don't know that you have. Talk about cringe. Shut up. Just shut up. Just shut up. With old horse-faced Eli Drinkwitz out here telling everybody how big that damn win was, Oklahoma. Oklahoma, what was it he said? Y'all tell Bob Stoops he don't kick Missouri's ass around no more. You won by like 2 points on a damn scooping score with like 30 seconds left. You won on a miracle, basically, over probably the worst Oklahoma team in 30 years. Which, okay, buddy, you go get them. And then to the Clemson Tater Man. Tater Man, I ain't really gonna address you guys that much going forward. Well, I will, but I'm not really gonna address you guys. I mean, we're the state champs. I mean, you're second fiddle here. You're state champs. That same team you're talking shit about, we dicked you in your own little dumpy stadium. Well, we were leading the whole game. Well, guess what? You didn't do what you had to do to win the game. You didn't have any guts. You didn't have the guts to win the game. But it was Wes Goodwin's fault. It was Wes Goodwin's fault. Dabo just fired him. We would beat the Coots another 10 years in a row. Y'all sitting here naming your next damn defensive coordinator. I'm watching these Clemson people on video talking about they're going to get Zach Alley for the defensive coordinator. Talking about we're going to get... they're going to take Lorenzo Ward for the defensive coordinator. Lorenzo Ward, they're talking about getting old Whammy. Down South Carolina's defensive coordinator over damn 10 years ago. He was really good when he had Jadeveon Clowney and DJ Swearinger on his damn team. He wasn't so good when those guys were gone. Nah, he wasn't. He wasn't so good when those cats bolted for the NFL. He was terrible. That would be an absolutely awful hire for Clemson. Absolutely awful hire. He's on the staff with Dabo doing something. I don't know. I didn't know what this guy was. I thought he'd quit coaching. I thought he was out working at a frozen food plant somewhere or something. But yeah, Lorenzo Ward. Jeez, man. What in the world is Tater Town coming to? The thing is, Dabo ain't even fired Goodwin yet. He ain't fired him. Oh, Dabo's just waiting till the playoffs is over with. He's going to hire somebody out for one of these teams. He's going to hire somebody off Penn State staff, jackpot. He's going to hire somebody off Ohio State staff. What he going to do or whatever. Just floundering around. You just don't like the fact that South Carolina's leveled their game up. Yeah, we lost yesterday. We did. We lost yesterday. Make no bones about it. It's one of the worst games that we played all year, too. So, this takes nothing away to me from the last 6 games of the year that we played. Now, you can argue the balances had went the other way in a couple of those games. South Carolina would have went 7-5 instead of 9-3. But I can also argue the fact that South Carolina should have beaten Alabama. They should have beaten LSU. So that still would have made them 9-3. Okay. Last point I want to make. Here's another one. The committee got it right. We saw the committee got it right. Okay, well, South Carolina lost to Illinois, so that means the committee got it right. Well, you know what? Maybe the committee did get it right in some sense. Maybe South Carolina did not belong there. Maybe they didn't belong there. Do I think South Carolina would have put up a better showing in a first-round playoff game than they would have in this one? Not meaning would they have won the game, but would it have been a better showing than this? Yes, I do. Basically, because there's not as long of a layoff. Basically, number 2, you would have had no opt-outs. So these opt-outs, I mean, I think they did affect the game somewhat, With Rocket Sanders' thing, you know, Oscar Attaway did a really admirable job yesterday. I think he rushed for about 70 yards on 14 carries, I think it was. That's not terrible. I mean, those are not far off from the numbers that Rocket would have had. Broke off a real nice 30-something yard touchdown run. I was proud of the way he played. I thought he played well, and I'm glad he's going to be back next year, I hope. And Jawarn Howell, 5 carries for, I think, 31, 32 yards. He rushed for 6.1 yards per carry yesterday. I like the future. I like the future here with that kid. I like him a lot. He put the ball on the ground, I think, on his last carry yesterday, which, and we were inside Illinois territory. It seemed like we were approaching the red zone when he did that. Fumbles have plagued us all year long. We did fumble one yesterday that we were actually able to recover. Wasn't able to recover that one, but he didn't get any more carries, I don't think, after that. I wish they had fed him the rock just a little bit more yesterday. But he's a good running back. I don't know if y'all noticed it, the way he's running. He doesn't really run angry, but he kind of, I don't know. I can't describe his running style to you, but what I did notice was one of the runs that he peeled off like a 10-yarder. He took a shot from the side, and the kid missed the tackle, and he didn't lose his balance at all. I mean, some guys would have just went down like a heap right there. He didn't lose his balance. He stays on his feet and still gained positive yardage out of that. That's a kid who's been in the weight room, number one. Number two, who's just got a good knack for playing the position. And I think he's going to be really good. I wish he carried the ball more yesterday. Is there anything else here that I need to cover? Oh, yeah, when I said with Oscar Attaway, he'll be back next year, I think. Here's the thing. Transfer portal is going to open back up for 5 more days for guys to jump in it. Now, they can jump in it, now, from what I understand, but after it closes, coaches can still recruit players from out of the portal. So, Carolina staff's still going to be busy recruiting players from the portal. They still need to fill some needs. They would like to have another running back. Probably like to have another wide receiver, even though it wasn't listed as one of the positions of need in the article I read. I mean, they were trying to get KC Concepcion. They didn't. They missed on him. I guess he went to Texas A&M. So they're still in the market for one. I know they're in the market for a defensive tackle if they can get one. Defensive ends and safeties. I mean, they think they're okay there. But this article was written, I'm not sure if this article was written based on Nick Emmanwory declaring or Nick not declaring. I know it was pretty much written on TJ Sanders declaring. I think that was pretty much a given that he was going to be gone. Nick was still kind of up in the air. But I want to say that all the speeches and everything that Nick Emmanwory gave about how this was going to be a historic defense. You know, he trolled Clemson last year, which I thought was fucking tremendous. Man, all this now to me is kind of for naught after what you did yesterday. I just don't know how forgivable that is for me. And if that makes me an old fuddy-duddy, well, an old fuddy-duddy is what it makes me. I mean, yeah, we're not going to forget the great things you did here. He's been a hell of a defensive back in South Carolina. He's been one of the best safeties to ever come through this program. But the way that ended yesterday, that was just deplorable, man. I don't care if you got bad advice from somebody or what. That was wrong. It was wrong. What you did was wrong. What you did was wrong. And you owe Shane Beamer, you owe your teammates, you owe the fan base an apology. Because that was just, it was just not like something I would have expected you to do. Anyway, guys, this has been a very long video. That's the end of the 2024 season for Carolina. It's over. It was a good season. There was definitely a lot there to build on. A lot of positives going forward for South Carolina, and they're going to be fine. We're on an upward trajectory. There's not a lot of teams that can say. There are a lot of teams who can't say that. Okay, I mean there are a lot. Look at Alabama yesterday. I mean those. I'm waking up this morning feeling deflated and defeated, but still with a silver lining around this dark cloud. With Alabama finished the same record as us. Now I'm not sure their fans feel that way. I'm not either, and I feel like if Kalen DeBoer, feel like if he doesn't make the playoffs next year, he may be gone. That leash may be that damn short. They are not happy. They are not happy at all. And that was a bad showing yesterday against a Michigan team that I think probably wasn't. I think Illinois and Michigan both were double-digit underdogs to South Carolina and Alabama, respectively, and I don't think they needed to be. I think that those lines were incorrect. Those two teams weren't given enough. The market was incorrect on them as far as Las Vegas goes. But yep, that's about all I got to say, guys. So Alabama's in a bad spot right now with their 9-4 record. South Carolina going nowhere but up. And that's what the expectations in Carolina are so low. Yeah, I know. Anyway, guys, it's been a great season. There'll be more stuff to come. More stuff here on the playoffs. Yeah, I know. More stuff with football. We're going to have more football news coming out after as time goes on. And yeah, spotlight videos over here are going to slow down. I know it's been a long one. I'm trying to wrap it up here. I will see you all later on. Well, that's weird. I timed that thing just about right. I'm almost at the stop that I need to make first here. I appreciate you guys watching. I appreciate everybody who came over for the live stream yesterday. I appreciate the super chats I got, too. I don't know how many dollars worth of super chats yesterday. I counted up in my head. It was a lot. I got a couple of nice PayPal donations too on the side from other viewers who didn't do the super chat thing. Whenever I do a live stream, I'm always pinning that in the comments where you can, if you want to donate something to me, I don't care if it's $5, you know, or $2. It don't matter. But it was a couple of nice donations, and I really did appreciate them doing that for me. And I don't ever take that for granted. And I'm just a guy, you know. I'm just a guy, as I call myself in my Twitter bio. It says I'm just a fat guy who likes yelling into his phone and making football videos. That's all I am. Anyway, guys, I will see you all later on. I appreciate it. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. Peace, and I'm out of here. Go Gamecocks.